Background, my name is Saf. I am heading marketing strategy for EVOCA, which is a small voice-to-web technology company. And basically, my background has been mostly telecoms, wireless operators, mobile, and as we've seen, a lot of the importance that the operators was having is moving to the device, moving to the app world. So telecoms, our operators are becoming basically dumb pipes. And there's a lot of learnings that can come from that switch. And I made the switch, basically. And there are a lot of learnings that come from customer experience into user experience. And that's what we're tackling with. And so we're going to see why, in this context of user experience, why do UX designers need to be or to think like marketers? So I guess the easiest question is, if they don't, what happens? Well, easy. This happens. And it probably happened to a lot of you guys, the famous elevator open and close buttons. I mean, it happens to me pretty much every week. You get into the elevator, the door starts to close, someone runs in, please catch that door, catch the elevator. You rush in, try to press the right button. Of course, you press the wrong one. The door closes. The person thinks you're a jerk, and you're embarrassed. 2 failures in 1. So, I mean, it's something that, we've had elevators for a better user experience. Maybe they should come up with something like this, It would make it easier, less embarrassment for people, right? So, this is very indicative of what happens if you have a bad user experience for your app. What happens to it is nothing, really. It just stays in the store, gathers dust, and eventually you'll get bad press, and that will affect your company. So, the best way to understand what a good UX is to kind of define it. What's a good UX? What's a bad UX? That's one of them. Don't hold your baby like that, Pete. All right, so definitions. Bad UX, as we've seen with the doors, is an experience that ends up making the user feel stupid through no fault of their own, basically. Conversely, a good user experience is an experience that ends up making the user feel smarter than he or she actually is, right? So, and since your users are basically your end market that you're designing for, a good UX is basically a good marketing experience. So, brings me to my point. Good UX is just good marketing, which we don't see that much out there, unfortunately. So, UX really draws on the principles of good marketing. It's moving away from being object-oriented to really being customer-oriented, and this is where they intersect. So, what do they have in common? Well, both of them are concerned with the user. Marketing uses segmentation, UX uses personas. Both of them are concerned with mapping and optimizing the customer journey. Eventually, all of them care about loyalty. User experience is making sure that your users not only download the application, but keep using it over time, right? Both are concerned with practical things like measuring and making sure you test your app. And all of them use a lot of cliche buzzwords. We know that. So if we look closely between a UX designer and a marketer, both of them love data, love observation. They love to get in touch with their audience and, talking to people. And at the end of the day, they all strive to provide the best possible user experience across all touch points. So again, UX is just good marketing. So why aren't there more good user experiences? Well, one major factor, I think, you probably know, is this confusion that seems to happen between what UX is and what UI is. User experience and user interface, right? Mostly because it's a new discipline. It's still misunderstood by many. So I did a little test yesterday, and I tried to run a little job search, basically, for UX designers in the DC area, and this is what I came up with. If you look at the titles, they're all UX/UI. And I don't know, but if you guys are veteran UX designers, you know that these require 2 separate skill sets, right? So how are they different? This is an example of a job advertisement in the DC area for a UX/UI designer. And if you, I don't know, you probably cannot read all that text, but really all the requirements are very technical, very design-oriented, and there's pretty much little left to the user experience in there. So again, UX is not UI, and it's something that's very important for every company, for every team to realize very early on. Otherwise, you end up hiring the wrong person, end up having a bad application. So basically, UX, put very simply, UX designer takes care of market research and a little bit of design. There's a lot of overlap, there's a lot of overlap between all of these, which is good. The UI developer takes care of design and some front-end coding. The app developer, on the other hand, is a more technical person, takes care of the back end and any other front-end coding. To put it simpler, we can view it as this. So if you look at the axes, for example, that, the green arrow on the left being the more human-oriented and the right one being more machine-oriented, clearly see that UX is really on the more human side of things. It's really trying to understand the customer, really. And so it's really, combining research and design to understand the needs and produce concepts that actually engage people. So a UX designer will tell you that, what he can do and why the application should work that way, but he can't really make it, right? On the other hand, the app developer, on the complete right side, you'll often hear them say, well, I can definitely build it for you, but it's not going to look very pretty. The UI person, they will combine the design and some technical skills to give you something that both looks good and is functional, right? So what's a good example of that? And I think most of us know a few, and I think one that comes to mind for me was one that was sold for $1 billion a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, that one. Instagram. I mean, what's special about it, really? I mean, it really, if we go back to the definition of good UX, it really makes you feel as a smart person. You're the hero. You become the hero. Because why? You take your pretty lame pictures on your cell phone, and you turn them into works of art. So one, boosts your ego. Second, you get social recognition out of that. Fantastic user experience. You can't beat that. If you look at the UI, on the other hand, yeah, could be better. I mean, it's not the star of the show. The star is really the UX behind the application. And this is what we all have to strive to build in every single product, be it an app or anything else. So, knowing this, what needs to happen here? Well, we've realized that, UX is really just good marketing, and UX is not UI. And so, you realize that, just like customer experience, user experience is something that has to flow from the top. And it's not in just one or two departments. It has to be across the company. Make sure that it's infused in the mindset of the company, that everyone thinks like a customer experience person or a user experience person. Make sure that your UX and marketing teams share the data. Marketing has a lot of data, a lot of research that could be very useful to your UX team. So make sure these guys meet, train them together on each other's functions, and share the data. If you can't create a chief experience officer or chief customer officer position in your company, so you can be customer focused and not product focused, and your motivation to do this is that everyone else is doing it. So get cracking. Thank you.
Great job.